Hello and welcome to Flipped IGCSE Biology, Unit B7, Coordination and Response, Lesson 1, the Human Nervous System. So here we've got a lovely old picture of the human nervous system. There are two main components. They are the central nervous system, which includes the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, which is all of the other nerves in the body outside of the central nervous system, ones you do not find in the brain or spinal cord. Before we start, we need to get a few definitions in here. So, stimulus. A stimulus is a detectable change in the environment, something that may happen, for example, a rise in temperature. A response. A response is a change produced in the organism by the stimulus. In the temperature example, you might put on another jumper if you're cold. A nerve. A nerve is a bundle of fibres that transmit the electrical messages through the nervous system. A neuron. This is the building block for nerves. These are nerve cells. There are three different types: sensory, motor, and relay. And finally, receptors. Receptors are specialized cells that detect changes in the environment. For example, you have thermoreceptors which detect temperature changes in your skin. Now, external stimuli can be detected by organisms, and this might result in a response that will increase their chances of survival. Let's look at an example here. So in that video, you saw the shoal of fish responded to the sea lion by moving away. Obviously, this will increase their chances of survival. If they didn't move, they'd be eaten. Now I'd like you to think of two more examples of your own. Responses. Responses can be divided into two categories: conscious, which are ones where we choose a response, we make a decision, or reflex. These are automatic responses that we have absolutely no control over. We'll find out why later. Also, within your nervous system, you've got three types of neurons. We've got sensory neurons. These ones take the nerve impulse to the central nervous system. Motor neurons, which carry the impulses from the central nervous system to the muscle, or the other effector, the thing that will move or cause the change. And finally, relay neurons connect motor neurons to sensory neurons within the spinal cord. Let's look at a motor neuron in more detail. Motor neurons are specialized cells. As you've just seen, they carry messages from the spinal cord towards muscles generally to cause muscle contraction. Okay, you can see the nucleus inside the cell body here. This is the main part of the cell, the main volume of the cell, all of that part. This part here has dendrites. Dendrites are the actual connections to other nerves. The long extended part of the cell here is called the axon, and the axon is surrounded by a myelin sheath. And at the very end you've got the nerve endings, which are connected to the muscle. As you can see, the nerve impulse goes from the cell body towards the nerve endings. Adaptations in the motor neuron. First of all, obviously it's long to carry impulses long distances. These are the longest cell in your body, can be up to 1 meter long. The myelin sheath. This acts as an insulator, causing the impulse to jump between the gaps, making it travel faster. And finally, they have many connections with other nerve cells to allow easy communication. Let's look at conscious responses in more detail now. So, a stimulus happens. This stimulus is detected by a receptor. The receptor passes this information along a sensory neuron, which takes the information to the brain, where a decision is made. The brain then passes the information along a motor neuron, to the effector, which is normally muscle, to trigger the response. For example, a decrease in temperature is detected by temperature sensors on the skin, thermoreceptors, which pass the information to a sensory neuron, which goes to the brain. You realize you're cold and decide to take some action. This information is passed along the motor neuron to your arm muscles, and you put on a warm jumper. Now I'd like you to do 2 more examples of your own. Please include all of the steps. Next, reflexes. Reflexes are involuntary. You cannot control a reflex. It just happens, and very often so quickly that you don't even realize you've done it. For example, change in shape of the pupils in response to a change in light. You know how the pupils get bigger or smaller when it's lighter or darker. The knee-jerk reaction, which is a classic one where the doctor hits your knee with a hammer. And also withdrawing your hand from a sharp or hot object. You touch it, and very quickly your hand is just pulled away. In a reflex, the nerve impulse from the sensory neuron does not go to the brain. This is why it's so quick. It just goes to the spinal cord and back again. Within the spinal cord, it passes through the relay neuron and then the motor neuron and directly triggers the response. So, the sequence of events is the stimulus, detected by the receptor, which goes to the sensory neuron, to the relay neuron, then to the motor neuron, back towards the effector, and that causes the response. Now, this is the actual biology, but this is called the reflex arc. This grey part on the right here represents the spinal cord, and on the left you can see, for example, someone is touching a pin. The pin is the stimulus, which obviously hurts the person. This information is passed along the sensory neuron into the spinal cord, through the relay neuron, then to the motor neuron, to the effector, which is the muscle, which causes the response, which is the lifting of the arm upwards. And that is it for today. Here's the bibliography.